Uh, Avem sunet? Suntem live? Super. Hello everyone and welcome to another live coding talk show. This is CodeTap. I'm your host Marian, and today we are going to talk about anything related to coding, web pages, building web pages, getting a job, or getting clients, or anything else related to the life of a web developer. Live. Our subject for today, hello everyone and welcome to another live code. What is a front-end developer? So with that, let's see if we have anybody online. Mist, are you online?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So now let's see. So let me quickly answer what is a front-end web developer, and then we can talk about it or anything else. Is that okay with you?
That's perfect.
Cool. So to me, as I am a front-end web developer, I'm gonna say what I think I am, because I don't have a definition for it. I just have my experience of life with it. So a front-end web developer is a person that builds, creates, maintains, or deals with technologies that are necessary to render a web page in front of your eyes. So when you open a browser, or maybe sometimes it could be a different tab, usually I think 99 or 99.99% of the time, for my opinion, it's a browser. Sometimes it's not. So you open a browser and you navigate to some place like a URL, like google.com or Facebook or whatever, wherever you navigate, something starts to appear in front of your eyes. So whatever appears in front of your eyes, like menus, images, movies, through a web browser, usually a web developer is responsible for creating, maintaining, and getting in front of your eyes that info, be it visual or audio or whatever. So that's a front-end web developer's job. Most of the time, the front-end web developer works with HTML and CSS. Nowadays, there's a lot of JavaScript, a lot more than it used to be many years ago. Many years ago, there were different other softwares like Adobe Flash or Macromedia Flash before Adobe bought it. So that's a web developer. That's a front-end web developer, not a web developer. A front-end web developer. It's a person that deals with technologies like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, maybe other ones, which builds interfaces that interact with data sets available either in your browser or maybe remotely on a server, and takes this data and somehow renders it nicely in front of your eyes. much more poorer. They have a poorer experience, a lesser experience of your application or your website. So they would be able to show something in front of your eyes, but not use the best available to show something in front of your eyes.
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. Like a website created or designed by a backend developer would pretty much be tables and command lines.
Yeah, something like that.
I see.
I'll give you a second example to it. I joined a company at some point. They were developing software for real estate. Right, 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 That's it. No, they actually developed software. But now think about people that are a bit more, like richer, right? And they don't have like an apartment. They have maybe 10 apartments, or maybe they have one or two malls, or some galleries and so on. So see, those buildings or sets of buildings or parts of buildings need to be managed. They need
Yeah,
to
like
be
property management.
repaired. They need to be rented. They need to be sold, bought, and so on. So in these terms, it's like software for managing your assets in terms of real estate properties, right? So some people
So,
do this.
so a
Yeah,
front-end developer doesn't necessarily just make websites. They can develop any sort of web application for any sort of purpose, pretty much.
exactly, exactly. Most of the time, those applications never see the light of a public interface, but they are used internally in inside intranet. They sit inside intranet. They still look like websites. People still access it, but usually it's people who have access to it. Okay,
I
so
see.
they're not
So,
like public.
so there are internal
Yeah,
tools for company employees to use in between, like, make their work easier.
exactly, exactly.
Okay.
So on top of that, coming back to web developer versus backend developer, at that point I would be front-end web developer. And and ah, yay! I got somebody. I got so many questions about this project and so on. So I made a note of his name, and then I intended at some point later on to have a chat with him. So he would maybe present me his approach or his knowledge about the project, because the project was quite big. So anyway, at some point I was looking in the code before I had the chat with this guy, and second, I'm dealing with traffic. So anyway, at some point I was looking through the code, and I've seen about a page of code, a screen page of code that was dealing with positioning an element to the bottom of the screen. So take that element and put it to the bottom of the screen and make it stick to the bottom of the screen all the time, right?
Right.
So I've seen that the code was written by him, because I seen his name under the commit and under the lines, right? You can see which lines have been written by whom using Git, right?
Right.
Or something similar to Git. It was Team Foundation Server, so Git is not the only option out there. Uh, so then I was like looking through the code and couldn't figure out why we needed that much code to do that simple thing. And I thought there must be a reason behind it, because nobody actually writes this kind of code. So what would be the reason? I can't really figure it out because I'm looking at the code and there's no reason that I can see, right? So the solution to put that element to the bottom of the screen and make it be there all the time was using CSS with position fixed and bottom zero. That's it. Two lines of code does what JavaScript was, what with JavaScript somebody wrote in an entire page of code. So he would intercept the scroll event, and on each scroll he would calculate the position of that element, then the position of the page, and
Oh
then
wow.
extracting it, and then moving the element to the new position and so on. So he would actively reposition the element to the bottom of the page.
So that goes to show there's multiple ways of doing the same thing, but there's only one proper way, pretty much, or at least, comparably.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So,
speaking of that, what exactly makes a good programmer? What makes a good web developer versus a bad web developer?
well, it depends how you look at it. There are many ways to answer this, and I'll start answering from different perspectives because they don't apply at the same time, but sometimes they do apply, and it's like mix and match, right? So,
Okay.
for example, if you're talking about a team, right?
Yeah.
So, if the word team is involved and there are more people working at the same scope, the same application, they want to build or create or deal with the same issue, then people that have a big ego, like they know everything and things must be done their way, usually are the worst, usually. So you never want to hire somebody in a team that has a big ego. And I used to have a big ego, by the way, so I no longer have it for a very long time, but I'm happy I no longer have it, but I used to have it and I admit it, right? So, not in the bad way, but I used to, enforce or at least insist about how things are done. So, from the team point of view, a good web developer is a good team player as well. He knows how to listen, he knows how to assess what others are saying, and he knows how to work in a way that the combination of the knowledge of the entire team gets to be output for the better of the project. Not because he said so, but because maybe whatever he said is part of the entire process, part of the code and so on. So he doesn't put his soul into the code in terms of it's only my way, right? So in terms of a
So,
team, a good web developer is somebody who can interact with the other teammates and together output a better product.
so I guess you have to be adaptable to a team environment for something like this to work.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And
What
also
about
give people hours.
in terms of actual coding, knowledge-wise? Is there a difference? Can you be a bad programmer with a lot of knowledge? Is that a
Yeah,
thing?
yeah. There are a lot of bad programmers out there, more than good programmers. Usually, I hear those bad programmers that sometimes are like 6 years into the business, so you should be already senior by that time, right?
Yeah.
So I hear them, well, I can't get a job. I don't know why people don't hire me, and yeah, kind of they answer themselves, right? The reason why people don't hire them because they are bad programmers. And let's see about this. What defines a bad programmer, right?
Yeah.
Usually, a bad programmer is somebody uh, that doesn't really understand how the technology works. Why does it do something and not something else? And there might be many reasons why they end up there, but most of the time, I think they end up there because they watch tutorials and they learn recipes instead of watching tutorials and understanding the approach and what was the problem and how the solution was applied.
Oh,
Maybe this is one of the reasons.
so you're saying
So they
like
don't.
they saw a video
Yeah.
somewhere and they kind of created a template of how an algorithm should work. So whenever they encounter that problem, instead of trying to adapt to it, they're just using the same formula over and over. And unfortunately, technology does change over time, and they don't keep up.
It's not about keeping up. It's more about the first part that you said.
Yeah.
They learn the recipe, but they don't really understand it. So therefore, Instead of maybe adjusting an argument or a parameter, they just don't know what to do with it and leave it as is.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay.
So that would be one of it. Another one would be they have enough knowledge to get by, but they don't do anything on top of it to actually improve themselves, and through improving themselves and becoming better to reflect that improvement in their skills, to reflect it in the output of their work, right? Because in the end, I'm a bit of a web developer and a bit of a, let's say, entrepreneur as well, like a businessman, but I'm not that good of a businessman. I'm better into web development and I'm less better into business, but I know both. That's the point, right? So what some web developers or some just developers, programmers, coders, it applies to all of them, fail to understand is that they get paid by business.
Yeah.
So sometimes they can come with nice ways of solving something, or nice technologies or new technologies. But what they fail to understand is that the business doesn't feed itself with nice.
Yeah.
So if it's nice and also good for the business, then we should approach it and implement it. But if it's just nice for the web developer, but it doesn't actually produce money in a way the business can survive, then you won't get paid. The business will fail, and everything goes to everything washes away, right? So a good programmer also understands that there is a business side, and whenever they want to present something, they should present it with this in mind, like what am I helping the business to achieve? How am I doing that? And do I have another one or two approaches or other technologies with pros and cons? And which one should we pick? It's not like I pick one that I like, I pick one that fits,
I
right?
see.
So that could be another thing that a coder could be better at, right? Understanding that they get paid by a business, so help the business survive or thrive actually, not just survive. Survive is okay, thrive is what you're aiming for, right?
Right. I think this actually speaks of the character of the person more than the knowledge, I guess, because you need to get involved with your client a little bit if you want to succeed, right? If I were
Exactly.
to let's consider me as a business owner, right? I'm gonna have at least a couple of people coming into my office and I'm gonna tell them what I need them to do, but I'm only gonna hire one of them. Of course, I'm gonna hire the one that relates to me the most at that moment instead of actually trying to figure out which one of them is better. So, uh, just because of that relation that's created during the process, I'm most likely gonna hire the guy who I can interact with the most.
Exactly. That's a good way of looking at it. And I can actually confirm what you just said. And there are, let's say, bad managers, bad human resource people that don't know how to hire people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And if you hire people for the short term, or if you're extremely stressed and in a critical situation, something needs to be solved right away, then you would hire somebody who's the best at it,
Yeah.
right? Otherwise, you should look into whatever you just said, like hire the people that are, let's say, more passionate about, more involved with the process, with the client, and with the business, and with everybody else, like a team player. And usually, you would want to hire somebody who has enough knowledge to understand and deal with the request, with the task that will be assigned to him, but not somebody that knows everything about it. There is a reason behind it. Somebody who knows everything about it is already bored of doing them, because somebody's done them over and over again, and it's nothing new. So therefore, when he or she wakes up in the morning, he won't be like, "Wow, I'm going to work and I have to fix something or I have to figure out something." and I'm so excited about it because, well, I don't know what at least I'm gonna find out, or I'm halfway through and so on, right?
Yeah.
So they are like in the mood of actually doing it. They are in the mood of actually figuring it out, exploring it, and finding new stuff, improving their skills, improving their knowledge, and so on. So you should hire somebody that has at least enough information, at least enough skills to give
Like once you're past a certain level and you get bored with just doing the same thing over and over again, you should just not apply for a job that requires you to do that. You should just keep on looking higher because there's always going to be a next level, right? Yeah, and on the other side of the whole deal, as a business owner, you want to make sure you don't necessarily get like the expert. You want somebody that would still be motivated by what he's doing instead of just, oh my God, I gotta go to work and type whatever again.
Yeah,
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm not sure I have any other questions right now. I'm not really sure what I could ask.
okay, not if you have anything difficult. It doesn't have to be coding directly. You can ask anything about the life, maybe moving to UK or whatever. How long it takes.
Yeah, to be honest, exactly. So, like you know, I currently live in Romania, and I plan on moving to the UK, London specifically, and get a job as a junior web dev. I've never done this before, and all I have right now is a knowledge package, is what you've taught me during a couple of your tutorials. Sorry, your connection is dropping a little bit.
Like the network. One, two,
Hello?
three, one, two, three. Yeah, you're back.
Okay, there we go. So, how do I get started? Like, I know, is it easy to get started? You know what I mean? All I need right now is a keyboard. I got a laptop. I got your YouTube channel. Is that pretty much what I need?
Well, it's a start. So at some point, whenever whenever you want to start the process of getting a job, right?
Okay.
So we'll start with the CV, and I got a template that I can share it with you. And I got a template that works, not a template that looks nice. It's not the best looking template. It's just a template that works, and it works. I don't know, 10 to 50 times better than all the other templates that I work with. Or the, and by template, I'm not just saying design. I'm also referring to the structure of it, what we write with it, which one comes first, which one comes second, is it ordered ascendant, descendant, and so on. So it's like a lot of things included in that template. It's not just blue and green and whatever and maybe pictures. So
Functionality is
over the
key.
yeah, exactly. It's what works and what gives you more calls and what gives you more people to invite to the interviews. So I
Okay.
got that template, and as I was suggesting, and as I started to do it with my students lately, I just grabbed my own template, the one that, not template, I grabbed my CV, the one that I use to get a job. It's exactly that one. And then I give it to you, and then we start changing parts of it. So it matches your skills, right? It matches your info, your links, and everything. But everything should be about you, but it's the structure that I use, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. Then I got a bunch of websites which most of them work, some of them stopped working, and we can add or remove from them. So that's a bunch of websites, like 10 to 20 of them, where you want to go and create a profile, and no matter how good you are at it, it will still take time. So expect at least a day or two to deal with those.
So we're talking
So
about
you want to create
websites that could increase my exposure, my branding, right?
exactly,
Okay.
exactly, like LinkedIn, I don't know,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah, I get it.
job seeker, whatever that's called. So you want to create profiles over there, tell more about yourself, your experience, what skills do you have, upload your CV and so on. So that's another step. And last team has ended. Got it. Just a second. Let me see if I can restart it. So we you create your profile over there, increase your exposure, and set up live. Yeah, almost there. In a second, because I need to restart the video feed.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. 480. Stop. Go. So now, Andre, you should receive soon the video feed again. So yeah, we start those. We create a nice CV. We start to increase your exposure, and we work double on this. So we create a CV that fits the general market, and we listen to the market, and we adapt the CV to be as general as possible, good for everyone. And then we use a technique which is copy paste, uh, and you copy paste your CV in the same place, and usually you'd get the name dash copy, something like that. And whenever you look on the web and you find a job that you like and you'd like to be part of, you basically adapt that CV to match that job as, as good as possible. So I'll teach you how to do that and how to rearrange, I don't know, skills around the about me, maybe create a cover letter or whatever. So one thing it will be you receive lots of calls from companies and recruiters, and another one you apply directly to the companies. Whatever happens, we want to improve um, your chance of actually landing a job. And what you want to do, you want to pass the recruiters and get in front of the client for an interview. The more interviews you go to, the better the chances you actually land the job. And then we'll also deal with before the interview, in the interview, and after the interview. What do you need to do? What do you need to say? How do you need to think? And the mentality behind it, so you avoid being depressed because there's a success rate or maybe a failure rate. Let's talk about the failure rate. The failure rate of landing a job is 92%.
I see.
Yeah. So when you know that and you actually fail at getting a job, well, you shouldn't be upset about it. If you land the job from the first, it means nine other people didn't.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
used to
So
work in marketing pretty much, and my success rate was actually pretty poor. It was maybe one phone call out of 100 that would be successful. So I learned how to actually just see it the other way. I learned how to say, all right, so I got a no on this phone call. That means I still got 98 to go until I get that yes. So you should probably do like a personality switch when it comes to this and just try to figure out like, all right, I got to go through at least 50 failures to get a success. You know?
exactly, exactly. That's also my approach, by the way. Although the success rate at landing a job is much much higher than the one that you mentioned, it means it's going to be a lot easier for you to deal with it. Because my success rate used to be 1 out of 10, and now I think my success rate is maybe 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 5,
Hmm.
which means I don't even care if it's 1 out of 20. I just don't care how many times I fail. I only care about at least one time to succeed. So whenever I start getting people sending me offers, I want them to be at least one.
I
So
see.
if I have three offers, then I can choose, right? I can
Yeah,
choose which
exactly.
one is maybe closer, which one maybe pays more, which one is more interesting. I can balance them out and see what fits me in that particular scenario. Because if I have some loans to pay, then I will go for the one that pays more. If I don't have loans to pay, then I'll go for one that I don't know makes me happier, whatever. So
Yeah, yeah. I guess at one point you get to pick and choose your jobs.
exactly.
Uh,
So that's about it.
well, yes and no. I was going to ask about the recruitment process, right? So at least the job application process. So you said I'm going to be contacted by companies directly or by their recruiters, right?
All of them.
Okay, so when the initial, not at least the initial talk, but do I need to present any sort of portfolio? Considering I just started out like a couple of days ago, I don't have any working portfolio. How do I build one? What do I need to do?
Well,
Or are they
well,
required of me?
you'll have a working portfolio in 1 or 2 days. As soon as you finish your first project, it's yours.
Is that enough? Do I need
Well,
to?
yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. But for example, Flavius, it's
Mhm.
our first success at CodeTap. He didn't have that many, let's say, courses to do. He didn't have any courses. Actually, after we've done what we've done, we transformed what we've done in our very first course, which was called
Oh,
MyCV.
I
Yeah.
see.
So
So you
so
were
he got
actually
hired with
building
one course.
content for CodeTap as people were going through it.
Exactly. So everything that's on CodeTap is ways of us interacting with recruiters and companies and getting people into jobs. All of those projects have been done directly or indirectly by the Kodak students to get a job. So my CV, my portfolio, W3 replica, every possible project in your GitHub account is going to count as your portfolio because you're a web developer, not a web designer. So you don't necessarily need to show something that looks great, but you need to show how you deal with code, how you write your code, and yeah. It's by the way, GitHub is your new CV. When as long as you're going to be a web developer, GitHub is your new CV, and the CV that you're actually sending as a Word document, that's something for recruiters.
Yeah, who are not that technical and don't really care. They just kind of like go through a list of a checklist. He knows JavaScript,
Exactly.
he knows HTML, and that's pretty much all they
Exactly.
care. But I'm guessing the company is a bit more interested. And they probably already have a senior that's gonna question you and look at your CV and your GitHub repositories and all that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
So you're gonna have your portfolio as you work with CodeUp. All the projects that you do are going to be part of your portfolio.
Okay. So just a quick review. Once I finish the CodeTap courses, I should be hireable as long as I finished my resume, my CV. I formatted it according to what you said earlier, and then I increased my exposure a little bit by creating a bunch of accounts on a bunch of sites like LinkedIn.
Yeah, more or less that's it. Although you don't need all the courses, you need at least one. And what you need from each course is a good level of understanding everything or most of the things that are presented there. So what helps you is not to aim for more courses, but to aim for a higher, let's say, resonance of the techniques and technologies used in a course and why and so on, so you'll be able to actually implement them. So if you know two courses very, very well, you got higher chances than knowing, I don't know, less courses, more courses but less of them.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
I see. Um, Finding a job, how hard is it? Like, what's the demand ratio in London right now? Do people actually need a whole bunch of web developers, or is it a bit of a niche market where there's 10 people hired?
No, it's as long as you do the right stuff, you're going to get hired really, really quickly. So
So I'm guessing
the
there's a lot
demand
of
is higher
offers.
than the offer. The demand is higher than the
Yeah, yeah,
amount of
yeah.
the good web developers. So
Okay. So that means the wages, the salaries should be decent as well.
yeah, they they tend to start. The average of a CodeTap student is starter, not like good.
Yeah,
We just started. It's about 33.5 thousand per year.
that's
So
not bad for a first job as a web dev.
yeah, yeah, that's the starter average.
Hmm.
And three of us are already over 6 digits.
That's really good. That's really good.
And as
How
long as
long?
you aim to become better, that's the secret. The better you become, the more you'll be rewarded. Uh, so you shouldn't think about money that much. Maybe to start with, you should think about them, but then you should focus on how to become as good as possible, because that's reflected in, uh, let's say, your rewards.
Well,
Yeah, let's
as
jump
a
on that
normal
question and
person,
then,
okay.
yeah,
As a normal, well, I was gonna say like it doesn't really matter. The money doesn't matter that much as long as it's over your threshold. So I need to make sure I can pay the rent and food and
yeah,
all that, and then pretty much the excesses. It doesn't really matter that much. But it's good to know that the first job I can land will be able to. I'll be able to take care of me, right?
yeah,
But yeah, I
definitely.
don't have any further questions. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no, no worries. We'll do this later today, and if everything goes well, each each day, twice a day.
Okay, perfect.
So, cool. Catch you
Okay.
later. Bye
See
bye.
ya. Bye.